Good afternoon and welcome to this monthly webinar. This month's around real-time in-store analytics, and we will speak about KPIs that we think are extremely important for your retail business. A little bit up front, my name is Uwe Hennig. I'm the CEO of Detego. This webinar will be recorded and it will be available online on our website. If you have questions during the webinar, I put you all on mute. I would like to ask you to...
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. So welcome to the webinar around in-store real-time analytics. My name is Uwe Hennig. I'm the CEO of Detego, and I'm very happy that we have so many people in the audience. Just for logistics, this webinar will be recorded and it's available afterwards online on our website. If you have questions during the webinar, please use the chat function of WebEx. Retail analytics, I would like to start with a phrase of Scott Cook, I think, who said it really right, especially these days, that now these days consumers is telling what a brand is, no longer is a brand telling that is to the consumers. So in-store real-time analytics is extremely important, what you will see in the next 15-20 minutes. But let's start with looking on today available retail measurements. I mean, the typical measurements, very clear, is very much around sales, annual turnover, the turnover per square foot, number of items per purchase, all these things, gross margin, how many markdowns do we have. There's some measurement points at the moment around inventory, available stuff in the store, what's about shrinkage, and hopefully people also measuring the number of complaints of consumers. But let's be honest, these are not real KPIs, key performance indicators. This is, in very many retailers, just historical data generated by the ERP system after a week, after a month, after a campaign, after a quarter. It's very historical data and it's afterwards, so you can't do anything with the data during the operation. So shopping changed completely, as we all know, and found some interesting numbers here in a very new report by the O Alliance that is stating that close to 80% of the fashion's business is still happening in a physical store. And I think this is very important to see. We're all shopping with our mobile, with our tablets, in e-commerce channels, but a big part, especially in fashion retail, a big part of the business is still happening in a store because consumers love to go stores. But consumers also telling us, 2/3 is telling us that they would more buy from retailers that are really capable to talk about availability of items. And 60% of shoppers telling that they have a better shopping experience if the staff in the store can immediately look maybe in a mobile terminal if an item is available, if it's available in a different channel, maybe in a different store or in the e-commerce. These are these days because consumers are used to use the web shop and they would like to have the same services they know from the web shop from your physical store. And if you look into available retail analytics these days, it's mainly around the web. It's around top served categories, what are the last 3 months visits and orders, average order size, all these things. But what about retail analytics in the store? Yes, you will say, oh, we have camera systems, so we have people counting systems, footfall data, our POS system is generating a weekly report. But how much is that telling us? Is anybody looking into these reports constantly and is checking, is everything is going all right? I mean, is somebody checking if a campaign is running correct? How many people in the store when we do what turnover? How many items are used? And still remember that 80% of your business is happening in that physical store. So let's speak about in-store analytics, and we talk about real time. And what you want to know is really what is your consumer demand, and you want to understand what is my current conversion rate and how can I increase my conversion rate. At the end of the day, with real-time analytics in the store, you can really push your in-store sales funnel. And you want to avoid markdowns because with real-time analytics you would know what would be maybe discounted next week, so you better move it maybe to a different store where it is a better seller. So the expectations these days from consumers are extremely high, as you know. It's all around availability of items. If you don't have it in this store, maybe you have it in another store. Can you please tell me this? I'm looking for a different color. I'm looking for a different size. I ordered this in the web shop. Can I pick it up online? Can I pick it up in a store? If you don't have it, but can you order it directly? Can you ship it to my house? These are the expectations from the customers, because the customers are used to it. So now people may think, okay, we're talking about big data, and we're not talking about big data. It's a lot of data was generated. But let's be honest, many people telling us we have enough of data, but there are different silos, and we don't understand them. And what we're talking about is real-time insights, and not about the data, more really recommendation for the people working in the store. Please do this, please do that. We do not want to create another dashboards, because what we learn speaking with many retailers, there are enough dashboards already. So how is that working? So we're starting with that all items in the store using an RFID tag, and there are fixed RFID readers in the ceiling of the store. This is a little bit like Wi-Fi access points, where you have Wi-Fi everywhere in the store. Now you have RFID reading access everywhere in the store. So that gives you a real-time inventory accuracy in the back-end systems, and you know exactly what's going on. So you know, you can see when items moving. Interesting new applications. We can see what is jointly going into fitting rooms, what items going to fitting rooms but not arriving at the point of sale. Combining this with footfall data, with people counting data from camera systems, and combining that with real-time data from the POS, we have a lot of insights. So the overlaying of the flow of goods, the overlaying of sales data, and the merchandise availability in real time, this is then enabling you to have the same look on the sale like from your web shop now in the physical store. So new KPIs are suddenly available. So we're splitting the store into zones, like the menswear zone, the women wear, the reservation zone for the click and collect stuff, back room, front room. New KPIs, for example, that are measurable now is the in-store replenishment performance. So how quick is an item that was just sold in a dedicated size, in a dedicated color, is it replenished from the back room to the front room? This is an extremely important KPI, because when the next customer is coming in, he wants to buy exactly that items, but it hasn't been replenished, this is a lost sale. And we all know that this is happening quite often. Another interesting new KPI is the fitting room conversion rate. In a web shop, you know what are people putting into baskets and taking out of the basket, how long are they surfing on an item. Now we can look, what are people taking to fitting rooms? What is jointly going into fitting rooms? For example, this trouser always goes together with this belt. So we can measure the effectiveness per store of a marketing campaign. That later on the data you will see can be used to engage with the shopper and just explain him, look, other customers bought that trouser, always bought it together with this jacket. And all these things people were used from their web shop are now available in their in-store business. So store-to-store comparison, marketing campaign effectiveness, replenishment performance, these are extremely important KPIs. Results, what are the results we are seeing? The first thing is, because the store staff is working very much with the customer, because all the administration, the paperwork is gone, they're spending more time with the customer, and let's be honest, this is where they've been hired for, to sell, and they have 100% view where are items available, and they can engage with the client, they're just selling more. So spending more time with the shopper, having all relevant data on hand is increasing the revenue. That is what we see in projects, depending which segment of fashion retail you are, between 3 and 10%. But there are also some side effects. Because you know what items are slow movers in one store, you may want to move them to another store because you know what in that store this is a top seller. So this is avoiding markdowns. Avoiding markdowns means to increase your gross margin. And we see in projects that the gross margin can be uplifted 0.5%. What is a huge number? At the end of the day, having this inventory visibility is the enabler to drive a very efficient omni-channel applications. And consumers love that. Consumers want to shop online, but they want to pick it up in the store. And that gives you the opportunity to sell them more, to cross-selling. So all these things like click and reserve, click and collect are available when we have this inventory visibility. At the end of the day, what was the beginning of this presentation, you're increasing the consumer satisfaction. Consumers will tell his friends, well, this brand is perfect, the services are great, I love it. So brand loyalty is increasing, and we know that in these days this is very difficult. You may think this is very artificial. Let's speak about a real customer. So this is a fashion brand from Europe with around 400 stores, typical, some own retail stores, franchise stores, wholesale, and there was a basic implementation in one store and something in the distribution center where RFID tags were put on the garments. And for a dedicated time, we configured the system that the in-store replenishment, so moving items from the back room to the front room when they were running to be sold out, this alert we put on 30 minutes. So that means when an item has left the store, dedicated color, dedicated size, in between 30 minutes it was replenished. And that is increasing the availability, and that is increasing the opportunity to sell it. So in just 1 week we sold with this 28 items more compared with the week before, where this service was not switched on. In that brand, it was a revenue increase of 2,500 euros. Just to give you an idea, the monthly rental cost for the whole solution is less than 1,000 euro. So we see companies implementing this part of technology are the winners, because there is a clear return of invest from day one. So looking on the questions that I'm getting here in the chat and looking on the time, what are the takeaways of this webinar? The first thing just want to underline is, again, the store is key. 80% of your business is happening there. People love to go to store, and give them the opportunity when they're surfing your website to pick up items in the store. Enable them that they come to the store. Offer click and collect, click and reserve. Once they're in the store and your store personnel has much more time because the administration paperwork is gone, they spend more time with these clients, and they're uplifting sales. Key is to do that, you need to measure it. I mean, very old saying from GE, you cannot manage what you don't measure. People may think, because we have talked about RFID, wow, RFID, I've heard that years before, it's complex, it's not working, it's expensive. Years ago the technology was overhyped. That happens quite often with technology. Then it disappears from the radar, from the people. But technology is developing. Just for your information, in last year, 2015, more than 6 billion RFID tags have been already used in the fashion industry. 6 billion items have been tagged with an RFID tag already. Saying that is, the technology is ready. The prices for these tags, because of the volume, went dramatically down. The performance of these readers are extremely well. The pricing for all these systems and solutions are extremely low. The clever solutions are in the cloud, so data is generated in the store or in the distribution channels, then put to the cloud. We're analyzing this data and give direct recommendation to store people, replenish this item or do this, do that. So at the end of the day, it's to prepare a very efficient omni-channel, not putting more inventory into the chain, just manage the inventory smarter than before. And these systems are now easy to implement and very cost efficient. You may say, so how, yeah, interesting, but how can I start with it? And what we are offering is very simple. We have built a kind of KPI check. So if you like, we would like to send an expert to your store, meeting your head of sales people, head of retail and e-commerce, seeing the store and developing a concept, what relevant in-store KPIs you will find in your environment, what can we measure, and at the end of the day, how can it be implemented, how much time would it take, and also how much would it cost. So that's a recommendation from our side. If you want to be one of the winners these days, you should look into this. So let me check what questions we have in the chat here. Yeah, interesting. There are lots of questions around RFID tag pricing. Okay, I started this. So one question is, how much does a tag cost? Very simple. Pricing for RFID tags is very much around volume. So it's a difference if you buy 10 million or if you buy 100 million, that's clear. but just to give you an idea what we see from our partners in that business, that an RFID tag price is far below 10 euro cent. And if the volume is increasing, these prices becoming lower and lower and lower. So you're adding to your item price maybe 5 cents. What's nearly nothing, what I think. Another question, another questions are around this fixed reader, ceiling readers, what I described in the beginning, why people not using handhelds. There are still RFID handhelds in use, maybe for things like the goods received in the store, but no longer for cycle count and stock taking. The ceiling readers have reached a performance and price point that is absolutely fantastic to use them, that you have a permanent inventory view. So we are reaching results like an inventory accuracy of 99.6% in our customers using these systems. And it's not only that, it's really that these systems offering complete new applications. We can follow goods in the store. So we can see what is going on in fitting rooms, what is not arriving at the point of sale, why are customers putting these items on but not purchasing it, what's wrong with it, how good is the new collection selling, compare stores with stores, without anybody is using an RFID handheld anymore. So that has been questions around fixed reader. Yeah, and then there are questions around these analytics. There was a screenshot with this conversion rate and POS data. What we see is that there is a lot of data available, but it's stored in silos. We see this POS data, POS analytics, all POS vendors having this function in their system. But it's just the things like basket size, average sales price per item, monthly report, weekly report. But what is that data telling me when I'm not combining this with footfall data, not combining this with item availability in the store? And what we are talking about here is getting all this data in one system and then providing an insight and providing a clear action to a person and not another dashboard. So before we finish now here, we're in time. Let me thank you very much for many people joined that webinar. That gives me the opportunity inviting you to the next one. You know, we do these webinars on a monthly basis. July and August is summertime, so we decided to start the next one in September. And here we focus very much with a partner on effective omni-channel retailing. Thank you very much.